Hi, this is Joe again with another video. For this particular video, it's going to do more like a straight commentary. Uh, because today, I'm going to tell you during this video, it's August 8th, 2018. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning the date is because it's a historical day in baseball. One date that probably most people are not even going to be talking about. I'm telling you now, most people, unless you happen to live in Chicago, Chicago, Illinois, nobody is going to mention that what a date, what an historical and tragic day, August 8th is. And that is, of course, today, the day during this video is August 8th, 2018, which is the 30th anniversary of the first scheduled night game in Wrigley Field in Chicago. And of course, well, people say, why are you bringing it up? It's not even it wasn't the official first night game, which is true, which I am going to get into. Of course, in Wrigley Field, from 1914 when it was open for 74 years. On the first 74 years of Wrigley Field's history, from 1914 to 1980, to August 8th, 1988, or I was going to say August 7th, 1988, they never played a night game in Wrigley Field. The reason for that is they never had any lights. So every day game, or every game they had, the Cubs played in Wrigley Field, was a day game. Because the owner of the Cubs was Philip K. Wrigley, who took over the Cubs from his father when his father had died. Of course, Philip Wrigley was, of course, the chewing gum king, the chewing gum company. And he always wanted the Cubs to, he was a traditionalist when it comes to baseball. He wanted every game to be during the day. And by then, night games were creeping into baseball. Because 3 years earlier, the Cincinnati Reds played the first Major League Baseball game under the lights in Wrigley Field in Cincinnati. So they wanted to, and so other owners were starting to put up lights in the respective stadiums in the major leagues. But Philip Wrigley wanted to keep all games during the day. But after the 1941 season, Philip Wrigley was actually going to put up lights in Wrigley Field. But he bought all the equipment, all the necessary equipment, the light tower, all the equipment for the light towers, all the equipment for the lights, all the installed electronics for they have the lights there permanently. But there was a little incident called Pearl Harbor that happened in December 1941. So Philip Wrigley says, I'm not going to waste all this equipment just to put up lights in my stadium. I'm going to donate all this stuff to the military. So that's what he did. He donated all that equipment to the military, and the lights were put off Wrigley Field until August 8th, 1988. Of course, there was a big controversy because when the Wrigley family sold the Cubs to the Chicago Tribune in 1980, and when the Cubs were sold, of course, naturally, the Cubs were sold again, I think in 2007, 2008, around there, they were sold again by the Tribune Company to the Ricketts family. Major League Baseball was pressuring the newer owners to put lights up, and for a while they resisted. Until when the Cubs beat out the New York Mets for the 1984 National League Eastern Division in 1984, all the playoff games was in Wrigley Field. They only played like two playoff games. The other three were in San Diego, which is a team the Cubs will eventually lose to in 5 games. And they were concerned over the possibility that the Cubs would get to the World Series, and that 4 out of the 7 games were going to be going to be during the day instead of at night. It's going to be early in the afternoon because the sun was setting down earlier, so you had to get it done like 12 o'clock New York time, or at least 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock New York time. So make sure you get the game in fast enough. And also they didn't want on NBC, who was covering the World Series that year in '84. They didn't want to interrupt the football coverage for baseball. Okay, so they were concerned that the Cubs, unlucky for NBC anyway, the Cubs did not get to the World Series. And to me, the Cubs should never have gone to a World Series because of Steve Bartman. And there's another thing altogether. I don't want to get into the Bartman thing again. But Major League Baseball, after 1984, they pressured the Cubs to put up lights. Major League Baseball did, and the networks pushed the Cubs, or the Tribune Company, to put up lights. Because if the Cubs haven't gone to the playoffs again, which is a story that very few people know about, today, 30 years, or over 30 years later, was that if the Cubs have ever gone into the playoffs again, and they kept the lights out on Wrigley Field, they were going to have to play the home playoff games, not in Comiskey Park, which would make sense, but in St. Louis, Missouri. I am not kidding, folks. We're forced to play the night. We're going to be forced to play the night games in St. Louis if they didn't put lights up in Wrigley Field. So of course there were like 3 years of protests over it, from '85 to about at least 2 years, even into 1988. There were constant protests over the lights in Wrigley Field. And then, of course, they decided, and there were court fights or lawsuits over it, because people who live in the area, and Wrigley Field is a neighborhood ballpark. And that's how they built ballparks. They built right in the neighborhoods, right in the town, right in the cities they were in, instead of in the suburbs or something. And there were protests, there were petitions being signed. Even the Tom Hanks, Jackie Gleason movie, Nothing in Common, they had briefly, in the beginning of that movie, the reference to the protests of people getting signatures to sign to keep lights out of Wrigley Field. So all that stuff was going on. Then eventually, all the club bells, everything was all settled, and during the summer of '88, they put the lights up while the Cubs were on the road, like California road trip or something. They put the lights up, and they did have like one workout before they had the first scheduled night game, which was scheduled for Monday, August 8th, 1988. And that was a big day here in New York City as well, because they reopened the Central Park Zoo after about 5 or 6 years of renovations. They also opened it up on that same day, on August 8th, 1988. So it was a big day, not only for Chicago and for the baseball world, but also for here as well. Of course, there was a lot of pop and circumstance. They actually did have this thing on tape. They taped over it, because I'm going to mention why. They had a whole because they happened to have WGN on a cable system, because it was one of the 3 superstations in across the country, like TBS in Atlanta and WOR TV here in New York, was the 3 superstations. Where if you have the right satellite dish and the right cable system, you're able to see all those 3 stations no matter where you are in the United States. So I was able to see the first night game in Wrigley Field, so it would be great. So I was taping it, I was watching with my mother, my sister, we all were watching it, because they thought it was cool to see the first night game. And you had a 94-year-old man, because I guess he must have since passed away since then, because he was 94 at the time. His name was Harry Grossman, to push the plunger to have the lights open. He even had Jack Brickhouse, who was originally a Cubs announcer, along with Harry Carey and Steve Stone and Green Stats, to do the pregame ceremony, and then the Chicago Symphony Orchestra performing the national anthem, and Harry Grossman hit the plunger to put the lights on, and he goes, "Let there be light." Bam, hits the light. And then of course the game goes on, and Phil Bradley, and the Cubs played the Phillies for the first night game, or the first scheduled night game, and he hits a home run. Not only does he hit over the bleachers, but onto Waveland Avenue in left field. And there was a great video of this that NBC aired the next night about the guy who caught the first home run ball. And it was pretty funny to see that, pretty entertaining. But Then in the bottom of the first inning, Ryan Sandberg hits a 2-1 home run to put the Cubs ahead 2-1. And then the Cubs ended up getting another one later on, make it 3-1 Cubs. But before Ryan Sandberg hit the home run, hit his 2-1 homer, he had Morgana. Her name was Kissy, but it was a big busted woman. She always used to run on the field, or on the court, in basketball, or on the field in baseball, or football, to kiss a player. And she wanted to kiss Ryan Sandberg, but security grabbed her before she was able to kiss Sandberg. And Sandberg, later on, I guess he got mad because he didn't get a kiss from Morgana, hits a 2-1 homer, put the Cubs ahead. And then, like I said later, the Cubs got another one, make it 3-1. But after 3.5 innings, the game was canceled because of rain. Because after the top of the fourth inning, you had a major pouring gusts. It looked like Niagara Falls. And I think there may be footage of this on YouTube, and how bad the rain was. I mean, the wind was just blowing around. The top there was one of the field was blowing down around. The ground crew had a tough time putting the top on the field. You had the wind. It was like sheets of rain coming down and stuff, and they had to and eventually they canceled the game. Long story short, they eventually canceled the game. And so what they did was, the next night, actually, it was actually the second scheduled night game in Wrigley Field history. But because of the rain out the night before, NBC had a second scheduled night game. And like I said, because of the rain out, it eventually became the first official night game in Wrigley Field. And instead of the Phillies being the opponent, it was the New York Mets. And that series became an historical thing for another reason, which I'm going to get into. And the first official night game was, on NBC. So instead of hearing Harry Carey on national television, which WGN was actually with the Superstation, announcing the game, the Cubs announcer, you had Vince Scully and Joe Gragiola from NBC announcing the game. So you had two Hall of Fame announcers announcing the game. And we know Joe Gragiola was in the Hall of Fame yet at that time as an announcer. And I think Vince Scully was at the time. And the first official home run was hit by Lenny Dykstra. I think it was in the fourth inning, a 2-1 homer. And then Howard Johnson hit the second home run under the lights. No Cubs hit a home run in the first official night game. But Sid Fernandez and Mike Bilecki were the two starting pitchers. Sid Fernandez for the Mets, Mike Bilecki for the Cubs. And that's what Mike Bilecki was pretty like a notebook in my book, because he gave up the first Grand Slam home run he ever saw in person. When he was pitching for the Pirates, he gave up a Grand Slam home run to Dallas Strawberry on April 28, 1985, game that I attended. And Mike Bilecki gave up the Grand Slam to Strawberry. So he's notable to me in that area, as well as pitching the first night game for the Cubs. And of course, but Sid Fernandez, unfortunately, he lost the game, and the Cubs scored, I think, like 4 or 5 runs in the I think it's 6th, 8th, 7th inning, because 2 players fell in the outfield. One was Mets left fielder Kevin McNulty, who slept and fell in left field, and then Dykstra made a catch against the wall. He fell on the ground, and a Cubs fan, one of those classic Cubs fans, poured beer all over Dykstra's head. And those are classic fans could put that Ricketts, the owner of the Cubs now, calls the fans of his team classy, when they weren't so classy in that game when they're pouring beer over Lenny Dykstra's head. So that was well, of course, the Cubs actually won the game 6-4, and it was pretty noteworthy for the first official night game. And of course, thankfully, on today's Met game, Harry Rose made reference to it. That today was the anniversary of the first scheduled night game, even though it got rained out, and the next night was the official game. At least give Harry Rose credit. At least he mentioned it. I don't know if anybody else is going to mention it, but of course, for 30 years, the Cubs have been playing night games, and nobody even remembers that this was about the first night game, which happened 30 years ago tonight, first official game, and the game is on YouTube. Both games, the official game and the originally scheduled night game, on YouTube. But I don't know how much of the rain delay stuff is on YouTube. That I honestly don't know. But I do have a commentary from somebody from the WGN News about the first night game, blasting for the first night game. I thought it was a pretty good commentary. And I have it on tape, but I didn't transfer it to DVD so I could upload it to YouTube. But it's, it is an historic day for baseball and baseball in general, for the first scheduled night game in Wrigley. And unfortunately, it's not. I'm telling you now, nobody on the news, or probably not even the ESPN, is going to mention that. I know if they haven't beaten them, it's going to mention that. What they should do is we played both the originally scheduled game and the official game. That's what. If they haven't beaten them, had any brains in anybody over there, they should have played that game. So that's my review of the first official night game in Wrigley Field. Please click on the video, please rate it, feel free to comment on it, please subscribe to my channel, and please forward this video to your Facebook pages. You can check out all my reviews on my YouTube channel at rallyc.com, that's all WDY, C.com, that's the homepage to rally review of Chris Lee Moore, and please check out all of his videos on this website. Thanks for watching, catch you next time.